In Waldrop's case, Bradley Waldrop shot his wife's friend 8 times, then he attacked his wife with a machete. We reached a decision: voluntary manslaughter.
We must ask a scientific assessment.
Dr. Esraoui received the sample from court and made the sequencing for this sample. I found mutation in its linked monoamine oxidase A is an enzyme responsible for catabolism of amines, dopamine, serotonin, and noradrenaline. This gene is responsible for a severe aggressive and violent behavior. I guess this mutation in genetic makeup related with abuse he had experienced as a child left him at greater risk of violent behavior.
Yes, Dr. Tagreed. Genes influence the social behavior of an individual through their effects on brain development and psychology. I will explain to you about the relationship between genes and behavior. What is behavioral genetic? Behavioral genetic is the study of genetic and environmental influences on human behaviors. According to psychologists, almost all of our behaviors are influenced by our genetic composition. So, the question here is not whether genes are important, but how do genes affect these behaviors? So, how do genes and environment interact? Our genetics determine our behavior. Our personality traits and abilities are in our nature. On the other hand, our environment, upbringing, and life experience determine our behavior. We are nurtured to behave in certain ways. Most behavioral traits are a result of this interaction. Heritability is the proportion of observed variance attributable to genetic variance. How do we know that some behavior is heritable? By twin studies. Twin studies aid the study of individual differences by highlighting the role of environmental and genetic causes on behavior. Differences in behavior by environmental effects and epigenetic effects. If one twin has a trait, how likely is the other twin to have the same trait? If the trait is heritable, identical twins will share the trait more often than fraternal twins. On the other hand, in adoptive studies, how do the traits of biological and adoptive parents impact the child's traits? Back to Bradley Waldrop's case. Is criminal behavior an example of genetic behavior?
Is there a crime gene? The warrior gene, with increasing of crimes around the world, researchers are focusing on criminal activities cause. In the levels of biological and genetic studies showed that the antisocial desire and violent behavior is due to the relationship between hypoactivity prefrontally cortex area of the brain with variation of the related gene such as MAOA gene. Recently, researchers determined association between aggressive and violent behavior and low activity of monoamine oxidase A, the warrior gene. Monoamine oxidase A is an enzyme that functions in neuronal mitochondria and encoded by MAOA gene in humans. This enzyme deaminates norepinephrine, epinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine, the process by which these neurotransmitters are degraded. Decreased levels of MAOA cause to build up in excess of this neurotransmitter 10 neurons, which are associated with extreme aggressive behaviors. It's called warrior gene, but increased levels of MAOA enzyme activity cause decreasing in monoamine levels, which are associated with depression. When you raise your children properly and away from violence, you prepare them to be healthy and peaceful people in the future.